It's recording.
All right, so heaven is reality, right? You know what I mean? This is a dream, and heaven is reality. I'm gonna wait for her to sit down, so because I don't know how this is gonna sound. And now she speak English as like a third language, so sometimes she'd be low, but we'll get it together. Because people be thinking I'm overpowering you. I'm just trying to speak up for the distance from the camera. You know what I mean? But so heaven is reality, and hell is like falling. It is falling asleep in a dream within a dream. I feel like like I've experienced the dream within a dream thing a bunch of times, but just recently, I could not wake up from a dream within a dream. I went to sleep, and I was collapsing the layers. It felt like the movie Jet Li. I mean, the one with Jet Li, and I was just collapsing the other parallel lives. And it was like I was like 30 layers down. I kept trying to wake up, and it was like Vanilla Sky. I was waking up every time, like, oh man, thank God I'm back in reality. And then then it to be some sloppy detail. Let me know, like, oh, this is another parallel. So, I guess to put it into words, heaven is reality. So like your true self is reality. What is real within you is what's constant, and that's what the true self is. So, um, if you look at it like maybe like the Christian way they look at it like God is he wants company in a sense. So like he has humans so that they can like grow up and realize themselves and realize God or whatever, so that they can join him in heaven. So he has company. Supposedly God's lonely or something. Like, but mad Christians like I'm turning it off right now. but no, like heaven is reality, and it's like I really feel like the true self. A lot of people might look at it like that if they were to go to heaven or meet God or meet their creator, meet their maker, which is basically meeting their potential or their power. You're meeting yourself. Doing that, they're they would run into something that looks exactly like them. Like God is like your truest self. You know what I mean? So like say there's this place in heaven or this place within you that is heaven. That's where your self is, where it resides, and what it is. So I look at like heaven is like yourself in a sense, because heaven is reality and yourself is reality. So I feel like the self, the true self, is kind of like a farmer in a sense, where it's like expanding experience and extending heaven in a sense, like where you're like experiencing oneness through separation. So you're creating all these experiences. You're creating a dream, and then that dream has a dream within a dream, and the body itself is kind of like a dream machine. So like if you duplicate yourself, you have a child, then that's like making a dream machine, and it's going to create its memories as it's existing. It's creating memories as it's existing. So it's dreaming these memories into existence. It's like a producer of memories, or producer of dreams. So if you are creating a bunch of layers or a bunch of bodies to experience yourself through, to experience oneness or eternity or self through separation, through limitation, through a body, because if everything was just, if there was no separation or no sense of separation, you couldn't experience through anything. There'd be no separation between, or no sense of separation between you and me, and the air would be filled with, it'd be nothing would be. Yeah. You need the separation or the sense of separation to have you and me, and this chair being itself, and me being myself, my dog being my dog, the dirt being dirt. So that nothing's really separate, but the sense of it is how you experience, or experience experiences, or experience memories, or experience. You're experiencing eternity through the temporary. So yep. The dreams, or what this reality is temporary, and you're eternal. Yourself, you are heaven, and you experience yourself through this temporary or temporal experience. And I feel like like self is like kind of like a farmer. So you just got like a bunch of seedlings, a bunch of bodies you've created. You create a because there's no separation. When you create, you align. So when you're aligning, you're creating. So you, in order to create a child, or channel a child, whatever you call it, you're basically duplicating, or creating a dream machine that's going to create a dream machine that's going to create a dream machine that's going to create a dream machine. So it's like a crazy ripple, and or you could call like lifetimes bodies really more because there's really no such thing as time. It's just bodies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you make a body and then you make another body, then the old body takes all its breaths, and then this new body or the sun, as it takes more breaths and develops, this old body is running out of breaths, and then now this other body is the one with the breaths, and then it creates, and then now it just keeps going, and you create bodies in eternity, in this temporary eternity, in a sense, whatever what you call in dreams. So like, I feel like if you're not establishing a connection to that original dream, then you just get lost, like in Inception when it was just like an infinite subconscious. I feel like kind of that's where we're at in a lot of ways, like in the world, like it's kind of like infinite subconscious. Like people are like identifying with their body, and the body is basically the subconscious. So it's kind of like we're in that. I feel like in a lot of ways, a lot of respects. So like, if you have no connection to the original dream or the original self, and you die in this, then you just go deeper and deeper into the illusion. I feel like, if you, so like you're falling asleep in a dream, deeper and deeper and deeper, and then you're you're like in a coma. You're like in a spiritual coma. You're like in a graveyard. I feel like because
It's like life is just there for to experience, and it's not like heaven is the eternity, and life is there to experience with the polarity and the duality. But if you forget that there's heaven and you think life is everything,
yeah,
it's not.
yeah, and the only way that you could
Life
do
is limited, as
yeah,
you said.
and the only way you could do that is through identification with the senses in the body because it's all limited. Like the emotions and thoughts and sensations are all temporary things. They're all like
Yeah.
echoes. They're still like, it's like a transient expression of consciousness. I don't like to say that the body's like physical consciousness in a lot of ways. So I don't like to separate too much, but for the sake of conversation, I like to look at it like kind of like it's an echo or yeah, it's like an echo more so, a reflection of consciousness. The body, the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations are all temporary, and you're experiencing by way of contrast, because you're this eternal thing. Now you have this temporary sensation. So now you're like, oh
Yeah.
man, look at temporariness. Look how I can experience temporariness as an eternal being or as eternity itself.
Yeah.
So, but if you don't like establish that connection with heaven or true self when you die, then you're just like falling asleep in a dream and you lose yourself. So like, if you have a child, like from a misaligned state, like say if you just force it because you're having rape sex or something, or just unconscious sex, whatever, same thing, control rape. If you do that, then you're over time you're gonna have like a breakdown in the template. The first child might not be a doodle bob. First child might not be like evil.
Mm-hmm.
So like his child and their child and their child and their child, since there's really no time and consciousness is like quantum, like you're kind of experiencing all simultaneously. Like if I have a kid with the wrong woman, I'm kind of already starting to reincarnate through my kids. Like my consciousness is kind of already going back and forth from that, from this body to that body, in a quantum sense, in a quantum field. Like you just have all these bodies now, and they're from a broken template, and then the broken template creates from a broken template, and then it breeds from a broken template. Then it's just like a crazy breakdown to where the body is not. It's like you're not really fully inhabiting it because it's broken down. So you can't. It's like a
Yeah.
glove that just keeps losing fingers. So now you can't fit your whole hand in it, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like the consciousness wants to come through, but the bodies are all split into a bunch of bodies and everything, and they're all the bodies are just like on autopilot being ran by parasites. And so I feel like it's basically that's where we are. It's like a clone within a clone making a clone, and a clone making a clone, and it's just breaking down the fabric of existence until the parasites become self-realized instead of you being the body's there for you to realize yourself through.
Yeah.
So, but if the parasites take over and they get the duplication, they get the keys to the duplicator, then they're just gonna keep making bodies so that your consciousness can never come through and seize the moment, seize the reality. So, um, yeah, I just feel like it's like a metaphysical graveyard because you're like being buried in the body. Like if I breed with the wrong woman and then and then the kid breeds with the wrong woman because that's the example being set. Is you're
Yeah.
forcing it. You know what I mean? And this is you're sanctioning control rape in a lot of ways.
Yeah, if you don't know yourself and having a kid, the kid won't know it, won't know themselves,
Yeah.
and then
So 10 generations down the road, the presence is not there. There's no presence in the body. It's just all on autopilot. And it's like the movie Split. It's like Kevin Wendell Crumb. You know, the self don't even want the body. It don't even want to come into that crappy body. You know, like it's just like, damn, stop giving me the light. I don't even want to be here. Like it's like buried. It's like I feel like it's a metaphysical graveyard at that point. Like you're in a graveyard that's metaphysical. You know what I mean? The body, a broken body.
Because then it's open for parasites.
Yeah, and then you gotta like watch the body get destroy itself, and you're like chained to it, and it's like self punishment because the self is being subjected to that. You know, and the parasite's just gonna do everything it can to keep you buried. You know, it's like well, I want this body, so I feel like that's like pretty much where we at. Like in the most part, it's like people have identified with the parasites, or they don't want to give up the things that the parasite is gonna get them. You know, the parasite's gonna attract prey and different things. And people are gonna be like, well, shit, I get something from this, so I'm in the body with the parasite, you know, whether they know it or not. I feel like as a child you know it, but then you lose it the more you damage the body. So now you're getting like accolades and awards and prey from this parasite that's using your body as a means to attract and proliferate from. So you're just, you know, taking credit that's not yours. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways.
You think it's symbiosis, and it's not really.
Yeah, it's like
it's just taking advantage of you.
Yeah, and it's like it's like a vanity thing, you know what I mean? So it's like you attract some woman that just likes you for the wrong reasons because the parasite wants food, it wants prey.
Yeah.
So now you're just like, yeah, look at my trophy wife, even though your true self don't even want her, but you keep her because the parasite is now like you made a deal with the devil in a sense. So I feel like to communicate with those other bodies, like I was saying last night or this morning, like you gotta have a connect with the ancient parts of you. You gotta use more ancient language, especially than English is so young. So like you can't communicate with them ancient parts with you clearly. At least it's such a confusing language. It's meant to be in a lot of ways. So like if you were to say whatever prayers and affirmations you have now in a more ancient language, whether it be Meta Netter or Hebrew or Latin or anything, you know, German, you know, anything not English, you know, you're gonna get closer to yourself, and because the true being the laws aren't separate from it. You know, it's like who you are. You are the law in a sense. You know, God, like the sheriff who said, "I'm the law around here." Like God is the law. It's no separation. You know what I mean? Like they say, the devil is a lie. God is the law. You know what I mean? So like the truths are you. It's not separate from you. So you already have that. It's just that you need to go into a body and encode the body with them laws.
Yeah.
Because it's like an empty body. You know what I mean? At this point, you know, in the beginning, probably the bodies were not separate. It probably was just a total representation of God, the physical body, you know, or the creator, whatever, originator. And then now we're at a point where you got to go inside and recode the body, like rewire it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's running on code, missing codes, running on codes that don't really serve it. And so you need a language or a means to communicate with yourself through so that you can instill them codes in the body, you know. And so you got to say it out loud, you know, and say it in the other languages. So it really registers to those more ancient parts of you in your blood. And I feel like since I do the affirmations in my head a lot as well, not just saying them out loud, that it's like flexing that muscle of thinking on purpose instead of just like being subjected to thoughts. Because I feel like a lot of people just be thinking, you know, they're just looking at stuff, and the thoughts just come because, you know, if you look this way, then you think like, okay, this plant is over here, this is over here, whatever. The thoughts just happen like without thinking about.
Yeah.
But if you're actively thinking and affirming, then you're like flexing that muscle. You're using that instead of being passive.
And speak it out loud.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to do that, but like in the dreams, it's like you're gonna have to have that thought muscle already kind of strong, because so that you can break through to that whatever body that you're in.
It's kind of like learning a music on a piano. If you start learning it, you have to really think of it and really thinking what to press.
Yeah.
But after a while, you be like, your fingers are doing it on their own. Like it's
Yeah.
automatic. So you have to know this prayer in your head, like a song.
Yeah.
It has to play on its own. Like you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
You should not have to think about it.
Yeah. Because those
Yeah.
codes aren't really separate from you. It's just that you gotta, as like the challenge is as a metaphysical being is to connect with the physical part in various ways. So if you have that already in you, like I know these same laws in German, Hebrew, Latin,
Mm-hmm.
Metanetter. I know these same laws, all of them in these different ways. Then anybody I come into, no matter what body I'm coming into, I can communicate with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I only know English, then I come into a body of different parallels 600 years, 700 years ago, before English was really popping. And like, I can't communicate with the body that I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in English, like, and I can't. It's not. The body's just like, what the fuck, you know? It's not. It's not registering. It's
Yeah.
it's not. It's like a different code. Like a computer reads binary code. It's the codes I'm saying in English are not even connecting. So
The laws are the same, but
yeah,
the the materialization.
the materialization. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. No, you're good.
it's different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think you just got to communicate with the bodies that you have, and then you can fully inhabit them, be present in them in your dreams, and then you can consolidate the energy. And then from that point, because you're like collapsing all in parallels, man. Like the parasite's trying to push your consciousness into the parallel so it can reside in the truest body that you got. You know, the truest, the true self or the heavenly body that you have. You know, people say the heavenly bodies are the stars or the planets or whatever. So you have like a heavenly body. You know what I mean? That's like the true. It's supposed to be for reserved for the true self, but the parasite is gunning for that. So it's trying to keep you in the recesses and keep you in the parallels, so that you never can make it back to or forward to your eternity. So like once you get to that point where you're inhabiting all the bodies, then you can consolidate the energy, collapse them dreams that ain't doing nothing. It's just like wasted energy. You got all these things running on concurrently that you don't even know about, and if I'm smoking weed and shit, I'm just blocking it, and there's probably a bunch of nightmares happening because if I'm not really myself in my life, then I'm just missing opportunities anyway. I'm not present, so I'm just gonna miss opportunities. If you're pessimistic or optimistic, you're not really present. So if you're a realist, you're real, your reality, you are heaven, then you're present. So then you don't miss the opportunities because the presence is just gonna get more opportunities to be present, and then you stay present, and then once once you're in a consolidated state where you're not using dreams to vent because like you're mourning opportunities that you missed. If you're pessimistic or optimistic, you're gonna have regret and a bunch of stuff you're missing because you not really dwelling in reality. So then the opportunities pass you by, and now you sad about them. And if you don't acknowledge it that you're sad and process that emotion, do breath work consistently, then you're gonna go into your dreams and process that. So now you're using the dreams to process all this rancid emotion, and then you wake up tired because you just was crying all night in your dreams, really, or yelling, or something like that. Because you having nightmares because there's separation between yourself. So it's like you're tormenting yourself because you're not acknowledging yourself. So it's separation there. And so I feel like once you get the energy all in one spot, then you can produce a new ripple, like consciously, instead of just like the parasite, just like trying to keep you in something that pacifies you, some dream where you just got Lamborghinis and bad bitches or something, you know what I mean, or whatever, Or some people like pain, it's the most,
Oh yeah.
it's the only addiction, pain. So a lot of people probably going into their dreams and just hurting themselves in a lot of ways. So,
Nice things can hurt too. Like
yeah,
you want this, and then you get it, and then you lose it again. It's pain.
yeah, like you're getting it to lose it in a
Yeah.
sense, like, and so it's like a roundabout way of self punishment. And once you can create a new experience, a new temporary experience to realize your eternity through, then you have control. I feel like of of your dreams. Not like that you are still, not like you can operate outside the laws, because you are the laws. So as soon as you start to go outside the laws, you get away from yourself. So like, then the body and the physical self and the metaphysical self become separated. So that's when parasites manifest, you know. And I feel like the true self is like, yo, I'm not gonna give you access to these powers and these connections with these other parts of you that manifest as other people. I'm not gonna give you these connections because you're just gonna abuse yourself more and abuse life itself. So now you're in this like stagnant place because yourself won't even let you connect with with yourself, through others. Because again, it's like the oneness through separation. So if you never take control of the power, then the parasites is just, they're gonna take the power, and you just become background noise. I feel like in your own life, you're like, I knew I should have did that. I knew this. And you're like, yeah, but you're not listening because the parasite's in control, and you're more passive. So yeah, I feel like it really just boils down to like everyday actions, throughout the day. Whatever, if I'm just being patient and present in the day, then I'll be patient and present in my dreams. But the more unconscious I am in my actions, then the more my dreams are going to be colonized, and I'm just going to stay stuck in these same memories. And then my waking life is going to be a nightmare. My dreams is a nightmare. And I'm just fueling this parasite's dream. I'm living a nightmare. But once you get addicted to pain, then you kind of like it in a sick way.
Yeah, because you like loops.
Yeah.
It's comfortable because it repeats. And it's always the same.
Yeah.
And you can predict it. And you be comfortable.
It's like a song that you know.
Yeah.
Like, all right, for the next 3 minutes, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Instead of just being present. I'm going to watch this movie I've seen before. But, like, why? It's just because I know it's the comfort level. Like, I know what's going to happen for the next 2 hours. But, yeah, I think...
or addictions. You're constantly thinking about this one thing and want to do it. Drugs. And you're not in the present.
Yeah.
You're not in the moment. You can't see what you have to do now. Like what you have to accomplish now. What you have to be present for now. You can't see it because you're in your thoughts, wanting that drug, and then you go for it, and you forget everything else. You forget life.
Yeah.
You forget.
You just get satisfied with dopamine.
Yeah.
You're just so separated from the moment, and the body is the moment, basically. So, like, I don't know. It's so much separation. I feel like people go through dreams, and if you stop seeing the separation, if you see the oneness, the universal principle of oneness, there is no self or other. Then if you have like a dream with your mom or your father, it's just a dream of your motherly and fatherly qualities being projected and embodied in this external thing now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you apply that to regular life, like this is a slow dream or something, your mother's not separated from you, your father's not separated from you. They are you.
Yeah.
But it's this quantum sense, like another body that's me, but not separate from me, even though it appears separate.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like if the more that you live in separation like that, then yeah, the more that it just manifests in the family, and then you start to reincarnate or get duplicated unconsciously, and then now you're like leaving the keys to like your kids in a sense that were like clones of clones of clones, they're broken templates or something, because now like you reincarnate and you get circumcised or vaccinated or whatever it is, because you just you didn't want to be present, so you wanted to give it up, want to give the power up, so you get some euphoria when you give it up, but you lose yourself, like you said, the drugs,
Yeah.
But the last thing I wanted to say was like when you're in a, oh, they're out there shooting, huh? When you're in a state of like detox, like you're repelling, you're pushing everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when I was getting high, well, it would push my body into a sedated, relaxed state, so that I would attract while there was still garbage in me.
Yeah.
So I'm just like attracting prey, and the predator is living in the garbage, in that energy, in that garbage energy. And
so
then,
you attract garbage.
yeah. Well, no, I mean there might be good people, but the predator wants food, wants to eat them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So then
yeah,
now I'm damaging them.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And making them garbage in a sense. You know,
yeah,
because now they're getting traumatized. That what was done to me is getting done to them. So I feel like it's like a predator, like the dogs. They'll roll and stuff to throw off their scent so that they could go hunt, and the prey can't smell them. And that's why I feel like when you're doing drugs, like you're like sedating these emotions and stuff, so people don't know how fucked up you really are. You know.
yeah.
And so now you're attracting and when you should be repelling.
Mhm.
And so now you're just pacified because you're like, well, I can still get bitches, it don't matter, or I can still get money, I can still get this. When it's like, now you need to reset totally and go back to zero so that you can start a new foundation to build from, or you're gonna always be building from a parasitic foundation.
Yeah.
You're gonna just be a predator, or you're gonna be being used by a predator. You're not even really a predator. You know what I mean? Nobody wakes up a fucking serial killer.
No.
Nobody wakes up a thug. Like, like you don't just get born a thug. Like that's like trauma embedded. It's deep traumas embedded because of some type of parasite activity somewhere. So that's really all I wanted to say. I don't know if you had anything else to say, man. I think it's all about clearance. I think it's just like access or clearance to yourself. Yourself knows like when you're truly um, apologizing or if you're lying or whatever. Like the true self is always knowing. So if you're not being true about the things, then you don't get access. You don't get clearance. Just like the government, because the real government is the creator, which is the primal identity, which is the eternity within everybody in a sense. So like that's the real government. And then like the external government is just like a reflection, lesser government that just is a summation of all the potential that the collective gives up. When people give up their will and responsibility, then it creates a government. It creates an external government. There's always a government. It's God or the creator or the originator is the government. That's the truth. It's the reality. It's the constant. That's the real government. And so you get access and clearance. Like like the president gets clearance. If you're a general, you get clearance. You get access. You get information that the citizens don't get. And that's how I feel like it is. Your relationship with yourself, the way you communicate with yourself is everything. And if you can't communicate with yourself, then you can't receive yourself. And then how are you going to receive yourself through others or from others? Like, you know what I mean? You're just going to receive parasites and parasitic things,
Mhm.
or you're just going to be turning people into parasites. You'd be a destroyer. Yeah.
And about the detox, um, whether you detoxing spiritually or emotionally or physically, it may feel like dying, but it's just the parasites that are dying.
Yeah. It's literally going through that. It's literally going through the death
But
because
you feel like you dying because you identify with a parasite.
and you're synchronized so much
Yeah.
that it's not separate. It's not a separate thing
No.
at that point.
Yeah.
You're both in the same body. It's going through its death. And the more it's like a personality. Like the more you kill personality, the more that yourself is going to come through. If you look at the personality expressing itself in everything, your diet and everything. If you like spicy foods or whatever, it's like all this personality up in that food. Like as soon as you like simplify the diet more,
Yeah.
then you're getting back to self more and more. Primal. La primera. You know what I mean?
La primera.
You know what I mean? The one, right? The first,
El primero.
right?
First,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna stop saying God. I might just say la primera or primero or something.
El primero.
There you go. There you go. You know what I mean? Because that is the first or the primal, the originator, and that's you know, yeah, that's the beginning. And I feel like the primal
El
identity.
principe.
Yeah,
El principe is like the principle and the first thing at the same time.
the
Like
foundation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything is founded on that and stems from that. So when you align with that within yourself, you have like you're like a little G, little God, and then like lowercase God. You connect if you are aligned with your lowercase God, then you align. Then the lowercase God aligns with the uppercase God, and there's no separation. And then you're just a primal identity, and you're protected. I feel like then you have divine protection, and then divine challenges. You know, but the challenges become problems the more that you externalize and you know outwardly blame and stuff, and blame it on other people and other things. But instead of looking at problems as problems and just seeing them as challenges for God or the creator within or the inventor or whatever, the la primera within, the
It's
primal.
nice that you making a feminine word out of it, like
Oh yeah,
that God is whatever.
I'll say it that way. You say it the other way.
Il primero.
There we go.
Yeah. Masculine.
El primero then. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Both.
So I feel like that's
It's also neutral. Il primero is neutral. True.
okay. Yeah. That's what I mean. I gotta learn. My dreams will be so less cluttered. You know what I mean? I won't be living in parallels. I'll be actually dreaming and producing a new existence for myself, for my consciousness to reside in, or connecting to the original template, rather. Because it's like eternity's just there. It's just what is. You know what I mean? And so I have to connect to what is in me so that I can, go move forward to it, or through it or however, and be in it, live within it, and still, you can, dip your toes in the temporary, but you don't want to get lost in the temporary, you know. But the more that you don't have, like,
You should be there for a moment and for eternity at the same time.
so you got to go back to the original languages, though.
Yeah.
So that you can talk to yourself and think with yourself in a more original way.
Yeah.
I feel like it's harder to confuse people that speak more original languages.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's harder to confuse them. You got to really make them emotional to try to confuse them because they're not going to be confused by thought.
Yeah. I've experienced it here. I feel like English is so. It's easy to lie.
Yeah, you can hide things so much
Yeah.
more in English.
Yeah.
So you can lie to yourself, or you think